Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be comparing this Hyundai Palisade to this Kia Telluride. Before we get into this video though, I do want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Jerry Center Kia here in Salt Lake City, Utah for giving me some time with this Telluride. I'll include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. If you don't know, they never charge any sort of markups over MSRP whatsoever, so if you want a great deal on a Kia, reach out to them. Like I said, link to their inventory in the description down below. Ask for Patrick if you have any questions, and then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood of the Palisade, we have a naturally aspirated 3.8 liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 19 around town and then 25 on the highway, with power outputs being 291 horsepower and then 262 pound-feet of torque. Now, the Telluride has the exact same powertrain setup, except fuel economy is a little bit lower, 18 around town and then 24 on the highway. Now, before we go over the front ends, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Starting with the front end of the Palisade, you guys can see it's a little bit more rounded off with the design, and obviously we've got the crazy like daytime running light that goes into the grille in terms of like the style mix, which is interesting. And then look at like the headlights down below, parking sensors there on the front end, lots of silver trim. Now with the Telluride, you can see everything's a little bit boxier with the overall design, and it has a more normal looking front end. You guys can see we have like a pretty normal grille here. It's not as big as the Palisade, and then pretty normal looking headlights as well. But let me know which style you like more. Now, popping around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 245/50/20 in the front and in the rear with the Palisade. And guess what? It's the exact same with the Telluride. But notice the difference with the wheel design here on the Telluride versus with the Palisade. It looks completely different. Something else that's interesting is the fact that with the Palisade, the fender flares are body painted, whereas with the Telluride, it is unpainted. It's just like plastic. And then you guys can see there with the trim at the bottom versus down there with the Palisade. And then notice the mirrors with the caps. It's actually a little bit different with the lighting there. But it looks like the body line stuff happening here on the side is also different as well. So that's interesting. But anyways, here's your full side view on the Palisade. And then here's your full side view on the Telluride. Now, when it comes to key fobs, they're actually completely different. So this is the Palisade key fob. Notice we actually have the self-park feature with it and remote start. Whereas with the Telluride key fob, we do have remote start, but we don't have the self-park feature built in. But I do think the Telluride key fob looks a little bit cooler, and I like how the Kia logo illuminates there. I think that's pretty sweet. Well, when it comes to storage in the back of the Telluride, you guys can see that it's super practical because, well, we can fit 4 tires here in the back. You do have to have the third row folded down, as you can see, to fit all of these tires, but I mean, it all works. And then I also do want to mention this does have the fold down function here for the second row. Now, popping over to the Palisade, and I do want to mention the third rows are identical with this, so you guys can see the storage underneath here, and then we've got the third row up, so the Telluride would have the exact same storage behind, but notice that with this one, we actually have these functions right here to raise and lower the third row. So with the Telluride, it's manual. It just has like basically a system where you pull it up, whereas with this, it's all automatic, so that's a little bit more user-friendly. And then here's what the third row looks like folded down, and again, it's gonna be identical with both of them. Now, finishing things up with the rest of the rear ends, you can see here with the Telluride, you've got the giant Kia logo right there, and then the taillights are pretty distinctive. I think those look sweet. Parking sensors, then we have the 2 exhaust tips. And guess what? The Palisade obviously is different with the taillights and everything, but we have the 2 exhaust tips that poke out the bottom because, again, these are built on the same platform. And then popping into the rear of the Telluride, first off, got a sunshade here for the rear passengers, and then look at the trim and the coloration with this interior, and then you can see for the Harman Kardon sound system. Heated and cooled seats here for the second row, and then you can see with the seats here, really cool with the design. And it'll quickly pop in, and I can actually push the seat back. Here's your leg room, got a little storage pocket, some cup holder action, and there's headroom. And then we have our climate controls actually at the top here, which is interesting. And then we actually have a sunroof here in the back. Look at that. And then popping into the back of the Palisade, you can see that we have a sunshade, yet again, fighting with the wind today. And then look at the door panel. So a little bit different with the design there. And then here are these seats, again, a bit different with the design. And then popping in, the door shut for me. That's what the wind does. Like room back here, I can adjust the seat just like the Telluride, and then headroom. Notice we do have heated and cooled seats here. We've got our own climate zone, some charging port action, and then this one also happens to have a sunroof here in the back. And then popping to the front of the Telluride, here's a look at the front door panel with the material use, and then you guys can see with like the window controls here, memory seat function, and then the mirrors do have blind spot monitoring. And then here is the front seat. You can see the design here. Looks like it's got massage function. I'll double check when we pop in. And then look at the pedals. And then we got stuff like our hill descent control. You've got the opening for the hatch. And we'll close this. Or actually the wind will close it for us. Ooh. So here's a quick look at the steering wheel. You guys can see we've got our adaptive cruise control function on it. And notice we also have steering assist as well. And then full digital gauge cluster here, which is pretty fancy looking. Does a little change with the different drive modes, which is kind of fun, that's for sure. And also I just did that. That's actually, I guess, extension for this. So it's not for massage seat function anyways. We do have a 360 camera system here in the Telluride as well. And then as for the rest of the infotainment screen, really good response time. And notice how this is like all connected with the whole screen setup. Got like passenger talk and all that. And a bunch of analog controls down below. You've got your dual zone climate. Notice we got our heated steering wheel control here because we've got our heated and cooled seat control down below there. And then also, look at the material use on the dash here. And then we've got little like charging area. Shifter here for the 8-speed automatic. Got some cup holder action. And then we got like our drive mode select, has a center locker. Then you can see the rest of the controls for like your auto hold and all that. And then here's the center console. Nice padding with that. And then quick look at the glove box. And this does have the camera mirror, as you can see. And then we do have a sunroof here up front. And then it's gonna be hard to see on camera. I'll try to increase the brightness a little bit so you can see. But we have a nice like premium headliner here. I guess we'll see which headliner is softer, whether it's the Telluride here or the Palisade. And now popping over to the Palisade, you guys can see here with the door panel, and then look at like all of the trim there. Got memory seat function. And then here's a quick look at the front seats. And then yeah, look, you got the massage function here. And pop in quickly. So close that. Got like the tow haul mode there. The pedals don't look as nice in here. They're just kind of more bass. And we'll start it up. Ooh.
Tonight, tomorrow.
And then here's a look at the steering wheel. Paddle shifters on the back is pretty sweet. And then notice with like our same thing with the steering assist, adaptive cruise control. Now notice how this is like recessed into the dash with the gauge cluster. And we still have cool animations for the different drive modes with this. And then 360 camera system, so that's all the same. Now the infotainment system itself, super similar in terms of the look, but obviously it's not like as connected to the gauge cluster in the dash, so that's a little bit different. And then look at the controls down here, so they just have like the plasticky finish on them. Same thing down here. Like these controls are nice, but it seems like the buttons in the Telluride look a little bit nicer. I like the drive mode select though. Still have, you know, heated, cooled seats, all of that. And then this is completely different. Look at the center console setup. Yeah, it's interesting like how many similarities these two have, but like how many differences they have. The center console is pretty similar though. And then glove box. This one's not lined with felt. So, and then I do like this on the dash here. And then we got the camera mirror and then sunroof. And well, and the headliner feels the same. So that's the same there. When it comes to pricing, both of these vehicles sticker for about $53,000. Okay, so we are going to set off in the Palisade first, and then we'll drive the Telluride second. And so I guess that by the end we'll find out which one I like more, or if I like them the same, because again, these ultimately are the same vehicle. I know most people know that, but some people might not know that. Kia, Hyundai, same company. Obviously they've got different teams working on stuff, but still. This has the turn signal camera, by the way. It's like when you turn your turn signal, it does a camera for the blind spot, which is pretty cool. Now this is actually my test vehicle for the week from Hyundai. And so I've been able to, you know, daily drive this a little bit. And I can say it's a really good vehicle, like super comfortable with the ride quality. Seat comfort's really good too. Massage function's nice. I think that's a big plus. And yeah, especially over bumps and everything, like they've done a really good job with the suspension here with this. Oh, we got a train here. We're turning around. We're doing a different driving route today. Okay, well anyways, getting up and moving here. Transmission's really responsive. and we'll get kind of like a, not a standstill acceleration, but we'll get an acceleration here. I just want to see if the powertrain is performing any different. I think that they're going to feel identical because it's the same engine, same power outputs. It is weird that there's a worse fuel economy rating for the Telluride, but again, it does have a slightly boxier design, so you know, maybe being slightly less aerodynamically efficient means that, well, it's going to get slightly worse fuel economy compared to the Palisade here. But yeah, so with our little drive here at the Palisade, I know it's not a super long drive, but again, you know, I've been driving this for weeks, so I don't need to drive a lot to tell you. It's comfortable, it's got decent power, it's got a lot of nice features, so let's see, you know, how this drives compared to the Telluride. Okay, so we are setting off here in the Telluride, and we're gonna do a slightly different driving route, just because the train's still sitting there and the traffic's horrible the other way, so just trying to avoid all of that. Something I do want to mention is I feel like these seats are slightly more comfortable. I don't know, they just feel pretty similar, but these feel like almost like they're a little bit more comfortable. Now, in terms of the powertrain itself, at least at low speeds, don't really notice a difference with it. Patrick there in his Raptor. But I will say, something about this, I like it more. I don't know, I'm trying to put my finger on it. Yeah, engine's this. I mean, it's the same engine, same power outputs. It feels the same. It feels the same over bumps too. Now, I do need to mention this does have aftermarket snow tires on it, so that is gonna, you know, should change the ride quality up a little bit, but not a massive amount. Feels like the damping's honestly the same, so that's not any different. We're gonna use Ford's parking lot here. Thank you, Ram, that's sitting in the middle of the driveway. Yeah, this is weird. So they pretty much drive the same. So I've got that taken care of for you guys. But which one would I choose? And here's my answer. I like the Telluride more, and I don't know why. I kind of know why, but I also don't know why. So like, I like the looks of this a little bit more than the Palisade on the outside, and then this, maybe it's just because this has like a brighter interior. I'm not a fan of just all black interiors, and this has like the cool brown, which you can get the Palisade with different interior colors if you want. But still, I don't know, I think I like the design here with like the wood trim and everything a little bit more compared to the Palisade. I think this just looks a little bit nicer. That's just my opinion. I like the fact of having like an actual shifter rather than like the buttons. That's just another personal preference. And then although this doesn't have massaging seats or, you know, the automatic seats in the rear, which I know that might be important to some of you, I don't really care. So like, I think honestly choosing between them is just going to come down to personal preference. For some reason, my personal preference is Telluride, but also, I mean, I happen to be like a big Range Rover fan, and this kind of looks more like a Range Rover. That's kind of what Kia was going for. So, you know, that could be part of it. But let me know which one you choose. Let me know if you like Palisade or Telluride. Option to option, the Palisade has more options, but for some reason, like I said, the Telluride looks cooler, and I don't know, I like it more.